A little sun. No sun.
Welcome to the Harmony Exercise. Dave Myers joining me today, and we're going to be talking about being an underdog.
Well, have you felt like an underdog?
I have in my life many times. Physically, not being a part of a team or feeling like everyone's better than me. Like that you mean?
Yeah, I mean, when we were standing up for the Harmony today, I looked at myself in the camera and then you towered over me. So it's pretty amazing. I consider myself an underdog for my size, but it's interesting how so many people in the world actually consider themselves underdogs.
And I understand it in the sporting realm because some people it's like, well, if I'm an underdog, I got nothing to lose, right? Mm-hmm. So you can go in and just play to your heart's desire and not worry about it because you're sort of expecting to lose, so to speak,
right.
or everyone is. And then a lot of times we see that underdog win because people root for the underdog. And however, what we were talking about, so physically being an underdog can motivate you, or I suppose if you think about it too much internally, it can actually pull you down because you never feel like you can compete at that level. Spiritually, we're never an underdog because we're number one. Because there is nothing else concerned between you and that relationship with this higher power.
And like we were talking about, there has to be a reason why in the Bible there are so many of these underdog stories. David and Goliath, and the common dread there of a higher force imparted on us.
Daniel and the lions, no one gave him a chance in there with all those lions. But we don't have to believe what we see. And sometimes when we believe what we see, that's when we believe we're an underdog, and looking out onto the world. And it says right there, we're going to operate on a level of the unseen, and like you said, a belief level. And when we believe it, we receive it.
It's amazing. And I read this, I don't know if this is true, but I read that 67% of the time underdogs win. I don't know if that's true or not. I don't know if that's just with underdog horses, but I read that 67% of the time underdogs win. So
wow.
I'll have to fact check that, but yeah.
Well, and when you take that to what I always believe about like the group conscience or collective conscience, right. A lot of times there's a lot of people rooting for the underdog, especially if we feel we are one ourselves.
Yeah, and the story that I shared on social media, on Instagram, was about Mike Tyson facing his opponent in 1990, Douglas, can't think of his name right now.
Williams? No.
Anyway, in 1990, his opponent and him faced off. The odds were originally 27-1 in favor of Tyson. And nobody placed any bets on the underdog until it went to 42-1. And then finally, the bets came in. And we think in our heads, maybe we're just enough of an underdog, or, I agree with the belief, but you know what? You can embrace it fully. You could embrace the idea that you don't help me here in terms of the physical piece.
Yes, you can embrace the idea of being a physical underdog going into a competition, and that can be tremendously empowering.
Sure.
However, in this realm, we never want to do that. We always want to realize we're number one, and not realize you're number one too. We realize we're all a majority. And so that's kind of motivating too, because if you felt an underdog when you're going to meditate or pray, you would never do it.
It's amazing. I never thought of the spiritual side to underdogs. That's pretty. And again, all the different stories in the Bible really paint such a picture, and it has to originate from that.
Yes, it has to. Yeah, and all those things are. They're basically stories of our own lives. We see it, and we just got some different names in there, but it's the same story. We've all gone through it over and over. Well, I hope you enjoyed our talk about underdogs today, and we can use it to motivate ourselves, or we can use it to kind of squash ourselves.
Yeah, embrace it and take the higher force into the game, and you're not going to be beat.
Right. So we're never an underdog, even when we think we are. Thank you for coming today.
John, always a pleasure.
Well, tune into the Harmony tomorrow. You can check out our talk and make yourself a majority. Have a wonderful day. We'll talk to you tomorrow.